Hi, Peter Kalos here with the Melbourne Actors Lab. So a lot of times I hear students going, I only do Meisner, I only do Stella, I only do Lee. Those are the big ones, you know what I'm saying? Or the method. And I talk about this again and again and again. It doesn't matter where you train. They don't actually look at where you train. What they look at is, what do you have right now? What have you worked on? And today, the first thing they go to is IMDb, and then they might look at your show reel. They will not look at your show reel till they have to. So they just kind of look at your headshot. You know, they get so many headshots, they just kind of go click, 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 click. Oh yeah, this person looks okay, have him send an audition. Click, 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 click. So your headshot has to be good, all that stuff. And then once you send your audition, then if they like what you did, and there's another actor that's very, very equal to your level, and then they're going to go, okay, who's done more work? And then they pick the one that's done the most work for the most part. Okay, who you've trained with is none of their business. And I can't express that enough, because you see people going, first of all, here's the mistake they make. They go, I only do this person, Meisner or Stella or whatever. And the second thing is, when I ask them, I go, wait a minute, what does that even mean? And do you know that person's work intellectually? Or can you actually do it? So between the knowing it intellectually and the doing, it's oceans apart. Because to know it, I could read a book and know it intellectually. But to be able to do it takes years and years and years and years of consistency and physicality and doing it so it's not in your head, it's actually in the body. That's what separates the acting from the acting student. So knowing it and doing it are two different things. As far as Lee, Stella, Meisner, no one actually cares. I always give the example because people understand it. If a carpenter came tomorrow to fix my table, I don't care what tools he uses. Fix the damn table. If someone came to do something as a repairman or a tradesperson, they're going to use whatever tool they know, and their skill comes in knowing how to use that tool and is it the right tool for the job. You know what I'm saying? Our job as actors is to learn as many of these tools as we can, to master them, because that way we have them based on the need. And because there's so many variables to our work, depends on what's going on in your life, depends on the dynamic of the script, depends on your connection to the material, depends on your own time, how much time you have, depends on the relationship between you and the director and the actor and all that kind of stuff. If you don't have the tool, then you can't advance your work, you can't ferment your work. You're just working with a limited amount of tools. If you know the tool intellectually, it's pointless. You know what I'm saying? So I always tell actors, spread your work in two different levels. One of them is, and I always tell actors when they get on stage here at the lab, I say, no, you're not doing a scene to perform. You're doing a scene to learn this skill, that tool, that ingredient. That's not performing. That's you doing the scene to learn those skills. And once you have those skills in your tool belt, then they stay with you for life. You can use them down the road. The difference between doing a scene in a classroom, so you learn the skill, is very, very different from you doing a scene to perform. That's when you need to have it all together. There's no time to learn things on the set. You learn them in the classroom. You learn how to apply them based on the need in that moment. Separate learning or doing a scene to master a skill and doing a scene to perform. Now, always people ask the difference. If I could narrow it down to one or two sentences, Lee used to say, use your reality, use things that you actually know, use your past experiences. Stella used to say, use your imagination. And Meisner was all about be in the moment. All three together, wow. All three together are what you're after. Because and by the way, not only they all said that, they also all said the same thing in different ways. Do you know what I'm saying? They all said the same thing in different ways. They all agreed on character work. They all agreed on knowing where you're coming and going to from the character. They all agreed on all these things. So how you look at that scene is your talent and your skill. And doesn't matter which angle you're coming to from. But I always tell people, learn all of them. For my taste, I think Stella was amazing when it came to character work and script interpretation. Lee was amazing. I didn't study with the guy, but I studied at his school. Lee was amazing for what I call the internal stuff, the internal connections. So how you make things personal and private, how you make a room personal, private, an object personal. That was Lee's strength. And for Meisner, of course, was being in the moment, which you can't be sitting there going, I'm doing an effective memory, or I'm doing a personal object here, and the other person's there. No, you need to do all this while you're still talking to the other person, while you're taking in the other person. And I always tell people, learn these skills separately. Like I always say, think like a chef. Learn how to prepare this ingredient, prepare that ingredient, prepare this ingredient, prepare this ingredient, prepare this ingredient, and then you put them all together. Because you don't want to be preparing your ingredients as you go. That won't work. You won't have it ready. You're going to go, pause, wait, let me go get this ready. No. And that's a skill that you can learn in class, or that's a skill that you can learn how to do in home. Because I tell people, if you can do it at home and you can do it at the studio, there's a very good chance you'll do it on the set. If you cannot do it at class or at home, you will not be able to do it on the set. It won't just happen by miracle. So categorize your work like that. Mastering a skill, reading the script, getting the information, finding out what tools and what skill you can use for this particular scene, and then finally putting it all together and still being open to things happening in the moment. That's what I call a well-rounded actor. Otherwise, it's all up here. And trust me, you don't want to get into these pissing competitions and acting theories. It's the worst thing to talk about. Acting is active by definition. Remember that. Get to work. Talk again soon.